The Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures game is a tactical miniatures game that's set in the Star Wars universe. It's designed by Jay Little and published by Fantasy Flight Games.
In X-Wing, 2 players take control of Rebel and Imperial starfighters in a fast-paced dogfight to the death. It's 30 to 45 minutes long per battle, and there are several expansions, each of which give you 1 ship and extra pilot cards and upgrade cards. Current expansions are TIE Fighter, TIE Advanced, TIE Interceptor, X-Wing, Y-Wing, A-Wing, Slave One, and Millennium Falcon.
Each player begins X-Wing by choosing their faction, Rebels or Empire, and then taking their ships and maneuver dials. There's a starting setup that's listed in the rules, and players can also customize and build their own squads using the squad building rules and the upgrade cards that come with the base game. These ships are going to go into a 3 by 3 foot playing area, and then the damage cards and tokens are placed to the side of this.
Each round of X-Wing has a planning phase, an activation phase, a combat phase, and an end phase. Then the game ends when one player completely destroys all of the opposing ships.
In the planning phase, players secretly choose which maneuvers their ships will perform using the maneuver dial that's assigned to each ship. You're going to turn the dial to select the maneuver that you've chosen and then place it face down next to its ship. Each maneuver has a speed between 1 and 5 that determines how far the ship travels, as well as a bearing that determines the direction that it turns in and its final orientation.
Once everyone has placed their dials on the table, the ships activate one at a time, starting with the ship with the lowest pilot skill score. So the dial is flipped over, the maneuver that's chosen has a template which is taken and placed in front of the ship. Then the ship is moved from one end of that template to the other end. Any tokens associated with that ship move along with it.
If a ship executes a red maneuver, then it gets 1 stress token, and a ship that's got 1 or more stress tokens can't perform any other red maneuvers and also loses its action. Now, if you perform a green maneuver, you're going to lose 1 stress token.
Next, the ship can take one of the actions listed on its ship card. If you evade, you take an evade token, which can be used in the following combat round to cancel out 1 point of damage from an attacking ship.
Focus gives you a focus token that can be spent in the following combat phase to change a focus symbol on an attack die to a hit, or a focus symbol on a defense die to an evade.
TIE Fighters can do a barrel roll, which is a movement to one side or the other at a speed of 1. X-Wing fighters can do a target lock action, which means that you can re-roll attack dice against one particular opponent. There are also other special actions on ship cards that can be performed at this time.
After all the ships have activated, the combat phase begins. Starting with the ship with the highest pilot score, each ship chooses a target within its firing arc and range. Now, ships don't block each other from fire, and range is measured from the base of the attacker's ship to the base of the defender. An attacker that's firing at a range of 1 gets an extra attack die, while a defender who's attacked at a range of 3 gets an extra defense die.
To attack, a player rolls a number of dice equal to their red primary weapon value, and then they can modify that roll with special abilities, with focus, or with target locks. To defend, a defending player rolls a number of dice equal to their green agility value, and they can modify that roll with focus, with evade tokens, or with special abilities.
Every hit must be cancelled with an evade symbol, or it deals damage to the target. And regular hits must be cancelled before critical hits. For every point of damage, you lose 1 shield token, and if there's no shields left, you take a face-down damage card instead. If it's a critical hit, then these damage cards are dealt face up and their effects immediately come into play. If a ship collects a number of damage cards that's equal or greater than their hull value, it's destroyed.
After every ship has had an opportunity to attack, the end phase begins. So evade tokens and focus tokens are removed from any ships who haven't used them, and any end actions that are on ship cards are resolved before the beginning of the next round.
The squad building rules are going to let you add new ships to the game and add upgrades to your existing ships using the upgrade cards. These might give them passive abilities, extra actions, or even secondary weapons. The base game also comes with a number of scenarios to play out if you get a little bit tired of that basic kill-em-all setup.
So everybody's been talking to me about this game, and for good reason. It's a really fun game. I like X-Wing a lot. It's incredibly cheap, very accessible for a tabletop miniatures game. I mean, when you think tabletop miniatures games, you tend to think of huge areas, lots of models, lots of painting, lots of complexity. This has none of that. It's simple, it's right out of the box, easy to play, so it's very, very fun for anybody who loves, tabletop miniatures or Star Wars or anything. You can get right into this really fast. Negative to this game though, right off the top, you are going to need to buy more than just the base set. And that's going to become obvious pretty quickly. You're probably going to need to spend a little bit extra money, get one or two of those expansions just to expand this game a little bit. There isn't quite enough in just the base set to keep you going. I personally, and everybody else out there, should choose the Millennium Falcon because you get Lando Calrissian, Chewbacca, and Han Solo. I mean, you just can't go wrong.
My only complaint about this game is a very minor one about the gameplay itself, which is that those tokens that go with your ships are just a little bit fiddly, because you've got to move your ships around and they move quite a lot, and if the tokens are kind of following them, you almost feel like you're constantly cleaning up after your fighters, and it's just a little bit clunky. That being said, this game plays amazingly smoothly, and I absolutely love how unique the ships feel. It's not just that the models look different and cool, because they definitely do, but the pilot cards and the different actions that they have really mean that they move and maneuver and fight differently, and so you can really kind of get a feel for what's happening. And that feel of a space dogfight is something that I never thought I'd see translated into a tabletop game, but it works wonderfully. You'll really feel like your ships are kind of swooping in at the last second and making a last-ditch attack on their opponent, and it's got a lot of excitement, it's got a lot of speed, and it really feels like a Star Wars fight, which is fantastic.